Boom. I think I did it. Did I share it? Do you see my screen, Butch?
I do.
Okay, fantastic. Well, this is the MWR Ultimate Leverage Illustrator. And Butch, what I want to do is I want to walk you through this process. And I want you, because I've already piqued your interest that, hey, show me how to do this. So Butch, I'm about to show you exactly how this process works. So you understand how you're going to be able to acquire these metals over a 5-year period of time. Is that okay?
For sure.
Okay. So, Butch, first we have this, and here's how you do it where you have zero net cost to you. We have a program in our company, Butch. It's called MWR Fundable 360. And what we do is we help people get corporate funding or business credit and funding. And we do that in a way where we have the experts that work with you. This is a work with you program. But what they do is they know the answers to the test. They know how to get everybody funded, how to make it all happen. They know exactly what the banks are going to ask for, what they're going to look for. They know where the pitfalls are, and they make sure you avoid them. They make sure you are structured in a way that you get approved. So that way takes 3 to 4 or 5 months for many because they're just kind of getting started. Some people that have businesses already and they want to go a little faster and show some things that they want to show, they can do it quickly. And then others, if they're not contributing and kind of staying on top because they got life happening and all kind of stuff, and they're not speaking to you regularly or taking those calls regularly, it may take them 6 to 9 months. But Butch, let me ask you a question. If I could show you how to phase one of this process. Well, let me do it this way. If I could show you, go back to the question, if I could show you a way to accumulate $500,000 in metals within 5 years, and it was zero cost to you, and phase one took 3, 4, 5, 6 months, would that be okay with you?
Yeah, I don't believe you can do it, but please keep going.
Okay. Well, it can. I'm gonna have this other guy named Bush Chalaya. He may talk to you about why this can happen, but I'm just letting you know overall it can happen. And again, part of what we do in this structuring is we make sure we put you in a position where you may not need personal guarantee, you may not need to prove income, you may not need to show any collateral, and you won't even have to show what you're using the money for, so there's no proof of funds requirement. But to do all of those things, you have to follow this path very specifically so the banks can look at you in that way. So there's a structure. That's why we have to go through this process, and it takes 3, 4, 5 months. You okay in phase one? Okay, you're on mute still. I see your mouth moving, but your phone is mute. There you go.
Makes sense. Yeah. It's
All
money
right.
I didn't
So
have before.
let's say here's what we're looking to do. Let's say our initial goal, because they talk about one of the floors with that expert when you talk to them, one of the floors that where they look at is the kind of the floor is $50,000. Their funding can go well beyond that, but the floor is kind of 50,000. So what I'm going to do is just keep this conservative. Say your initial funding is going to be $50,000. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay. Now let me put it in the right place. 50,000. Okay. Now, Butch, I want to talk to Butch Chalaya for a moment. Not Butch, my buddy. Butch Chalaya, the head of MWR Fundable 360. What is a interest rate conservatively that I can put in here that you believe is pretty typical for what you've seen in your career?
Well, they're offering anything between, 6 to 13% right now. So I would say 8% is a good average.
Okay, 8%. Okay. So I'm going to put 8%. Okay. And then I'm going to say what we're going to do, because Bush, I understand Mr. Bush Chalaya, once you get this done and you get started and you stay with the program and you still engage with the team that you have, the concierge team, there's ongoing and perpetual funding. Am I correct with that?
100%.
100%. And I didn't have to, all the things I had to do in the very beginning, that I only had to do it one time, and then it's taken care of from that point forward.
And Damo, banks are in the business of lending money. The moment you can show that you qualify, they'll keep re-qualifying you over and over again. That's how they stay in
That
business.
is a very, That's a very true statement. So here what we're going to do is we're going to put another $50,000. So we're just going to keep it conservative that we're just going to every single year we're going to add $50,000 to the equation. Let me do this one too. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We call these the levers. This is lever number one, and this is leverage. Okay, so we're going to take this first lever and we're going to leverage this fundable MWR fundable 360 to acquire the capital that I need. So my money, I now have money that can make money for me. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Okay, now if I look at lever number two, what I'm going to do, because we talked about our precious metals, and I'm saying, assuming you saw the whole presentation, we talked about our precious metals. So I'm going to say you're going to take the 50,000 over here, that initial funding, and you're going to purchase $50,000 in precious metals. And they're going to be in the depository. You're going to get a receipt for it, and it's going to be ready for our leasing contracts. Now that let's say they're available now, and our leasing contracts, and right now they're going between 1 and 2%. So let's say I put it in the middle. Would it be okay just kind of middle that and call it 1.5%?
For sure.
Okay. And Butch, this 1.5% is a 1.5% return on a monthly basis. Okay. Now, let's say additionally every year I'm going to take this additional 50,000 that we've had over here, and I'm just going to apply it here, because every year I'm going to acquire another $50,000 worth of metals. Okay, we're good so far, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Butch, you can go look this up on Google. You can check it out over the next 5 years. And this is lever number 3. So these are all leverage. Everything I'm doing right now, Butch, is leveraging, because leverage is the key to success. Wealthy people, it's their favorite word. It's their favorite thing to do. And it's to take advantage of leverage. So all we're doing right now is we're leveraging the fact that you have an MWR membership that gives you access to acquire, or you are part of MWR, so you know about MWR Fundable 360. It gives you an ability to acquire this funding. Then, Butch, what happens is, because you are a member of MWR, you now are going to have the ultimate leverage of being able to take your precious metals that normally are just a store of value, they're like a savings account, and be able to get a rate of return on them every single month. And that's another form of leverage at 1.5%. So instead of your metals just sitting there and they kind of go in value over time, you get to see a monthly return on them. And then lever number 3 is talking about that appreciating in value over time. Now, this lever and this level of leverage, if you look at Google right now, they're going to say somewhere in that 50 to 75% range that they expect metals to increase over the next 5 years. So what I'm going to do, Butch, is I'm just going to take it in the middle and say, if it did 12% a year times 5 years, that'd be 60%. Okay, so I'm going to use the number 12. Butch, here's what I want you to see. And we're going to go over this real quickly here. But at the start, we had the $50,000. So do you recall how we got the 50,000, Butch?
Yes.
How did we get them?
You got it through corporate credit.
Through corporate credit, absolutely. So that's leverage. We leverage the ability to structure ourselves to get corporate credit. Now, the monthly rate of return on the $50,000 worth of metals that you acquire is $750 a month. Okay, that's that 1.5% a month. Then the cost of the funds at 8% is going to run about $333 a month. Are we good so far?
Sure.
Then what happens, you're going to see this monthly profit of over $416 and some change. And Butch, what that shows is, if you take this monthly profit times 12, that's about $5,000. Okay, so here's what happens. If you take the appreciation of 12%, which is now takes the metals from 50,000 to 56,000, and then you add about the $5,000 in monthly profits, because you decide, I want to take my profits in metals or acquire more metals. Now at the end of year 1, you have $61,000 worth of metals. Follow me so far?
I do.
Now we're going to take this 61,000, we're going to add it to the 50,000 in year number 2, because remember, every year we're just going to get another $50,000 in metals.
Right.
Which, let me ask you a question. Once the funding starts to happen and I'm making the payments on time, does that help me get more funding
You couldn't stop it at that point. They'll make you offers every day.
every day? So, Butch, it's not like it would take me a whole year to get another 50,000. So am I being really conservative by saying a year later you do another 50,000 in precious metals?
So there's two things you're super conservative with. Number one, it's not another 50 because after you've proven yourself in the first 50, you're probably going to see 200 as the second round of funding, right? Because that's what banks
Gotcha.
want to do. The moment you can show that you can perform, they want to give you more of it to see if you can even perform even at that level. And it doesn't
See,
take a year to do that. You're talking maybe another 3 months.
another thing. So, okay, so it can go. So I'm being super, super conservative in this example then. Okay, so
Extremely
I'm
right
gonna
here.
stay. I'm gonna stay super, super conservative. Only 50, and I'm gonna take 50, and I'm gonna put that. Even though I might have had more funding, I'm gonna get $50,000 worth of metals again. Then, because that's all I did, I was running a specific path to success, and I'm conservative, so I'm being conservative. I now have a rate of return of $1,600 a month, but I have to make the payment, which is now costing me a little over $650 a month on that payment. The profits, if I subtract this from this is my monthly profits, almost $1,000 a month. If I take that $1,000 a month and I go over 12 months, that's like $12,000. Well, if my metals went from 111,000, just the value, the appreciation, this is lever number three, and I leveraged and it's now gone to $124,000 in value. Remember that 12% we talked about?
Yes.
So that's where this number comes from. Then because this is 1,000 times 12, if you will, is 12,000. Now I'm at 136,000. Okay. So all I'm doing is taking this 136 and change, and I'm adding another $50,000 to it. You see, and so then year three is going to roll out the same way. At the end of year three, I'm showing $230,000 worth of metals, and I've taken that $50,000 again and adding it to year four. Year four, you can see the breakdown of what the overall profits are monthly, what the payment is monthly, what the net profit is monthly, and then what the appreciation is at the end of year four, and what the total value is at the end of year four. As we get to year five, Butch, do you see you're sitting right at $500,000 in metals?
Yes, sir.
Now, Butch, let me ask you a question. How much of your work, in terms of your effort, you're going to work every day to have your income, whatever income you have that's taking care of your current lifestyle, how much of that did I say we used?
None.
None. Because all we did was we used the bank's money, correct?
Lever number one.
We use the bank money every single year. We never used your hard-earned money that you were working for. So, Butch, that's where we talk about the leverage. So we leverage the bank's money to acquire an income producing asset that's generating by year five, in this example, of a 1.5% a month. So we're not going crazy. We're being really conservative, 1.5% a month of over almost 6,000 a month. But then even after I make the payment back to the bank, and because I'm making a payment back to the bank, they keep, like you said, giving me more and more and more. So at 5 years, I could have $2, $3, $4, $5 million or more worth of available funding to me, right?
For sure.
Okay, but I'm just saying I stayed so conservative. All I used was 50,000 of it, and I'm paying the $1,600 a month back, and then my net is 43. I'm taking that in metals, so I can keep growing this asset and keep this momentum moving in this way. Now, are you excited by this, Butch?
I'm blown away.
Did I prove to you that you could literally take other people's money? It didn't have your money didn't require, because what was the first thing I asked you so we could sit down and have this conversation? I said, if there was a way to accumulate $500,000 in metals without, with literally over 5 years, without any net zero cost to you. And we just talked about how it's a net zero cost because you didn't have to come out of your own pocket to do this, correct?
Yes.
So a net zero cost to you, this is where we are. Now, Butch, everything I've talked to you about just so far is what's in it for you. This is have I talked to you about anything else other than what's going to happen for you?
No.
Okay. Butch, let me ask you a question. If this was happening for you, knowing who you are as a person, um, what would you do? Would you tell anybody about this? Or and if you would, who would you tell?
I would work every day to fill stadiums so I can share the news.
So you'd be telling everyone. But initially, when you tell some people that you know, like some friends, some coworkers, some because this is happening for you and you're seeing it happen, and you might not have. And I know you, but you wouldn't have waited till 5 years. You'd have just saw the process. Even if you were super skeptical, you just saw, okay, I'm starting to get this. The concierge are working with me. I can see. Ooh, I just got this card or this line of credit. Okay, I saw enough. Let me go tell some folks because this is all starting to happen, right? But let me just show you. Let me ask you this. Again, I'm going to stay super conservative here. Now, you're seeing some numbers there, but I don't want you to look at those numbers yet. We're going to go up here. Butch, with what I just showed you, if this was happening for you, and again, right now, everything that we just showed you happens for you, and you don't have to tell a soul. Okay? But if you decided to tell someone, Butch, do you believe you could have one person per month decide they want to do the same thing you're doing?
Oh, sure. Why wouldn't they?
Okay. Why wouldn't it? Right. One person a month. Rich, at one person a month, are you going to drown in your sweat doing that?
No.
Okay. All right. So we're talking, oops, where did I go? Okay. We're talking one, oops, I got to get this back. I knew I did something. You know me with these numbers. Okay. All right. So we're going to say you did one person a
So
month,
this
Butch.
this call wasn't rehearsed, and I'm trying real hard not to comply with what you want me to say, but I have to say it because it's logical. Everything I've seen is logical.
Right. That's why I'm just being super concerned. So 12 a month now, Butch, because you said you would tell a few people, right? And do you think any of the people that you would tell have any issue with getting one person per month over a 12-month period of time?
No, but people don't do what I do.
Right. So since they don't do what you do, let's say they only do half of what you do, Butch. Half of what you do. So here's what I'm saying. You got 12, but they want to go get 12 as well, but they've only gotten 6 so far. So you don't have to wait for them to get 12. And then those 6 did half of what their friends or coworkers or contacts told them, and they only went out and had 3 so far. They're trying to get 12, but right now they're only at 3. They're only at 2, and they're only at 1. Which when you did that, do you realize your organization at the end of, and let's say this, which I said this is a year, so this took you a year, but I'm gonna show you something. What if this took you 5 years? Now I'm being crazy because 5 years is 60 months, and 12, you have 60 months to get 12, people. That we're trying to go one every 5 months. I'm making it so conservative, almost ridiculous. But Butch, if you did this, do you realize you'd be at $400 per day from the fourth and most important lever, because that would generate over $12,000. That generates $12,000 a month just from one of the 10 income streams MWR has.
That's unbelievable. I worked 5 years at my job coming out of college, and I didn't make this kind of money.
Right. So what we're talking about here, Butch, let me show you how this impacts everything. Do you see that? Oh, well, let me do something. Before I do this, Butch, I want to show you something. I just want to show you. I'm going to go back they take these back to 0
And then
because I
Damo, if
want to
I
show
if
you.
I brought in 12 people and I just set them up to attend meetings like this one right here, where you do all the work of explaining the opportunity, my depreciation won't be 50%, it'll be like 2%.
Right, because everybody is easy to do. So, Butch, I just wanted to show you, by the way, at the end of the 5 years, I forgot to show you this. You receive funds of $250,000 from the bank. That's the bank's money.
Right.
Which you've been paying back. You have almost there it is right there, just short of $500,000 in metals. That's producing almost $5,000 a month in passive income for you.
And Damo, not to be a tax specialist here, but 100% of the payments are tax deductible too when you're paying it back.
Absolutely. Because here's what happens. If I take this in metals, See, I've been taking this in metals. Remember that's what we talked about, and you
Right.
decided you wanted to do the same. Then, Butch, what I haven't done is I've never sold my metals, so there's no taxable event. This is all tax free.
But my payments back to the bank is tax deductible.
It's tax deductible, 1000%.
Right.
Absolutely, Butch.
It's an
So I get
expense.
the tax deductibleness of making the payments back to the bank, and then I get income that becomes tax free because I just kept it in metals and I never sold my metals.
Right.
Now, Butch, so now going back to the example I showed you in lever number 4, and this is the leverage. Again, this is all about leverage. We've shown you leverage in 4 different ways. And remember, I said I'm going to show you 4 ways of that phrase that pays. This is the 4th way. We had 12. And let me take that. And then we said 50%, which I know what you just said. So right here, though, let me show you what happens with that $400 a day. Do you realize that's $16,000 per month? Now, Butch, let me ask you a question. Um, you have your job now at 12,000 a month. Maybe we've allowed you to retire your spouse or yourself. Let's say you retired yourself and you're doing MWR full time now. You love it. You're running this program. Um, Out of your $12,000, if your lifestyle was say $6,000 a month to run your lifestyle, what would you do with the other 6,000 if this is working for you so well?
Yeah, I reinvested exactly in the same model.
Right, you accelerate it, right? Now, Butch, let me ask you a question, because this is one thing I want you to see. Is I'm going to show you how you can accelerate things. In fact, Butch, let's do that. Let's just see what happens if you accelerated the model. And instead of 50 every year, you're going to add another 6 grand a month. So you're going to go to 56,000. We're just going to say, all you're doing is, well, that's 6 grand a month. Let's say, because that's 6 grand a month is 72,000. So let's say you're going to put another 60,000. So you're making, you're making 144,000. You're taking 60,000 of that and adding to what we just did. So we're going to take this number and go to 110,000
Wrong
because you want to accelerate it.
That's
You're
the borrow. That's the bank's money. The bank
Oh, that's
money.
the bank's money. I'm sorry, you're right. I got to do it on the other side. Sorry, my bad. Let me go back
Training
to
in
50.
progress. Training in progress.
This is training in progress. Right. So if I can do this and mess Butch, even if I'm messing up and I'm not doing this perfect, are you kind of getting pretty excited?
I'm fired up right now.
Well,
I'm
Butch, let
fired
me show
up.
you.
I'm fired up because I know how real this is. I mean,
Right.
I'm trying to separate my emotions from my mind because I want to play along with this exchange. But Andamo, I mean, I have a 3 hour meeting tomorrow with David Rand at the Prosperity Min office to schedule this actual implementation to make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed.
Right.
I mean, we're sitting kneecap to kneecap in the same room tomorrow. The funding guy, which is me, and the metal guy, which is him. And the only thing we're doing is creating the perfect storm for MWR. So I know this. So I feel like I'm cheating because I'm watching this thing and I'm going, he is super conservative. He's playing it so small in these numbers.
I know. And Butch, this is what I want you to see. Because you decided to use some of your MWR money to accelerate this, Butch, now look at, because you already know how the process goes, look at where your metals went to. Let's look at the final numbers here so it makes it easy. You almost have $1 million worth of metals on its own, and you're generating $21,000 per month in passive income. Now you could say I'm putting that more in metals because the metals are making me money, but that's what you're doing. So then, Butch, if all of a sudden I look up and I say, "Oh, oh, by the way, because you're picking up another 12, so actually this is about you're about $9,000 a month in precious metal in passive income. Now, when you add your income to it, it's 21,000. Butch, and here's what's crazy. Here's what I want you to see. Butch, over 5 years, because we're talking 5 years now. And if I told you, Butch, the only way they can receive this income here, this $400 a day in this example, the only way anybody can receive any income from MWR to experience this part of the profit, to experience this monthly profit right here that we talked about, in this line number 2, the only way you can do that, Butch, is you have to be a member of MWR to even have access to even be able to purchase the metals and do this program. Butch, if I told you this membership was only $149.97 per month, is that even a thought for you?
No, that's an expense too.
Right, that's an expense you get to write off. And Butch, if you knew that all I have to do is pay that and they're going to keep paying me all this, would you ever not make that payment?
No,
Would you ever quit?
no.
Okay, so Butch, if that's the case, and we're doing that again, and I'm keeping this super conservative, if all you did, Butch, this is going to blow your mind a little bit, but if all you did was now it took 5 years for everybody to catch up with what you did in year 1. And oh, by the way, in year 1, doing something that does not make sense and certainly doesn't make sense to you, Butch, I'm saying everything stopped. You didn't do another thing. You didn't let anybody else. All the people that came to you to say, I want in, you said no. It's just the 12. I did my 12. That's it. That's it. But do you realize if you had 0%, if they all got their 12 people over 5 years, let me show you what would happen to your numbers, Butch. You'd be making $15,000 a day from MWR at $450,000 per month, but that would show you at $459,000 per month. But Butch, let me ask you a question. If you're making $450,000 per month just from our luxury residual, one income stream, that's over $5 million a year. Butch, if you said, I need to live a little better than I've lived, I need to do some things, Butch, and let's say you were living on $2 million a year. Can we put, and let's say if we took tax out and all that, let's just say you $1 million a year. Right now you've been living on 100,000, but $1 million a year, I can live well. Would you agree with that statement, Butch? And where you live in the part of the country you live in, can you live well on $1 million a year?
For sure.
And in any part of the country, anybody can live well on $1 million a year. But so if you took, say, 3 million of your 5, or do you want me to split the difference and call it 2.5?
Either one's good.
So now we're going to go from 5 years to 10 years, right? Let's just do something here. But I'm going to show you, Butch, and I got to do it the right way. I've learned. Look how fast I learned. I'm just going to keep it. I got to stay conservative, Butch. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this into where I'm buying $1 million. Let me do this. $1 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So $1 million annually is what, because I'm making this kind of money. I'm putting $1 million back into this program. But at the end of the next 5 years, if I want to do it that way, because this certainly can happen. This is real numbers that can happen in the first 5 years. I've acquired over $8 million in precious metals, Butch, and I literally, my initial funding balance, because now this actually has to go up though. That's the one thing I didn't do. Because no, this doesn't go up. This is the money I just got from, I didn't even use the bank's money because I've been using my money because I'm making so much more. I just wanted to accelerate everything. So I just showed you the acceleration, Butch. And here's something that's interesting because I've kept it conservative. And I've said this is 5 years. Now I'm showing you 10 years. If this could happen for you in 10 years, Butch, not knowing what you know, because I'm going to ask you what you know. But if this could happen in 10 years, Butch, for you, is it worth it?
1,000,000,000%.
Butch, if you had to go in the very beginning, because you were just getting started, and let's say you had some credit issues personally, you had some other things going on, but you had to go get a business address, you had to go get a business email, you had to go get a business bank account, and you had to do some of these things. And if you had to, then they say, we're going to give you some credit cards, but you got to use these credit cards to pay for things. So instead of the credit cards you used to use these to pay for things. Would that be worth jumping over those hurdles to get here?
Can I be real honest for a second?
Yes, I want you to.
Can I put
And this time I want you to talk, don't talk to Mike. Mike, come on, because you're the person that said, man, I got to do all this extra stuff. I'm going to let Butch talk to you.
I'm going to put my fundable hat on for a second.
Yeah, I want you to put your fundable hat on. Okay.
So here's what I think. People don't know what they don't know conversations like what you just shared with us here for the last half hour, these are not being shared anywhere else in the world, let alone this country. No one is having this conversation right now. This is absolute secret, but it's also absolutely exclusive to this organization. And Damo, I speak at a conference every single week for different businesses, different networks, different groups, and we've been in business for a long time. And we've been dealing with mainstream businesses for a long time. Our conversations with them are very different. We're not talking about, hey, do you have an email address? Do you have a website? We're just assuming all of those things are in place. And these companies that are lining up to do business with us, all they can do is borrow money, spend it down, and pay it back. It's a hamster wheel. Borrow money, spend it down, and pay it back. It's a very linear approach. But those business owners feel so fortunate to have access to money, they're willing to go do whatever it is we tell them. So I'm going to be real for a second. We have the most amazing, what you just shared the last 40 minutes. It's math. Math is absolute. It's not your opinion. It's definitely not mine, right? Neither of us are Chinese, so you know math's not our thing. But here's the reality. It's absolute. You use super conservative numbers, 50 grand to start. Here's what's interesting. If you showed no more growth after that 50 grand, it's still positive arbitrage.
Right.
If you showed 10, 12% interest rates on the loans, it's still positive arbitrage. If you showed 0% appreciation in those metals, it's still positive arbitrage. Your lever that you showed was so conservative that if you truly wanted to let it go, it would do 20 times in half the time. But here's the difference. We bring this to MWR, and it's the most precious gift right now. We can truly transform wealth, change legacies, rewrite history. I'm sitting with David tomorrow for 3 hours. David's a genius when it comes to precious metals. And I say this, Andamo, if we tested his IQ, he would test off the charts. He is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. What he's pulled off with the leasing contracts is unheard of in that space. What we're doing with the funding contracts with Fundable 360 is unheard of in that space. But granted, we're still taking this plane off in the air and we're building it in the air for a new group of entrepreneurs within MWR. And maybe they weren't structured the right way all together all at the same time, right? Maybe they had to learn about the difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. But here's what I would say.